sharing in this very important meeting with us. My name is Louise G. Geisen, and I'm a member of the District Detroit 1 Action Now Committee, and also a member of the Greater Burnett Baptist Church, where I'm proud to serve as Chairman of the Board of Trustees and Administrator of the church. So we are just so delighted to have you in our house at the Greater Burnett Baptist Church as we talk about what we know is important in our community. At this time, we're going to have our own choir, the Greater Burnett Baptist Church Choir, to come with the selection.
When it's recorded. What do you mean? No, what are you going to do with this? On YouTube? Oh. Come to record all this stuff as well.
Most of us here tonight have an abiding faith in God, We also have faith that change is possible. Faith that a new day is possible in Detroit. Amen?
Amen.
Faith that we as Detroiters can and will continue to build an upward path for our beloved city. This meeting is presented by the District 1 Action Now initiative. We began as a few folks from Christ the King Catholic Church and Greater Burnett Baptist Church, and now we have added folks from block clubs and churches all over District 1. Our partners in this endeavor is the Moses Organization. Let's give them a round of applause. Ongoing relationship with whomever is elected to City Council from District 1 and at large to ensure that District 1's issues and priorities are vigorously pursued. Recently, we've been out in the neighborhoods encouraging residents to vote. After the election, we plan to hold officials accountable for policy promises and urge them to tackle tough issues. Let me share our vision for District 1. It's pretty simple. Really, we just want a safe, clean, well-maintained neighborhood, effective, functioning city services, and public officials who are ethical and responsive to the people. If you would like to become a member of the District 1 Action Now initiative, there is a sign-up sheet in the reception room immediately after this program. The political landscape is changing in Detroit. We have a new charter. The city has been divided into 7 city council districts. Each of the districts will elect one chairperson. In order to run for a city council district seat, the candidate must live in that district. In addition to the 7 district representatives, the city will choose 2 additional at-large council members for a total of 9. We're so excited about the district system because we believe that it can make our city council more accountable to the people. There will be somebody at that council table we can call our council person, someone with whom we can share our unique challenges and from whom we can expect a productive response. In conclusion, the purpose of this meeting is to encourage you to become more interested and hopeful about the election and help you make a more informed choice when you go to vote on November 5th. Thank you so much. And at this time, we have a moderator, a very capable moderator that will come to you and kind of give you the rules of the day and further lead you into this public meeting. She is a friend of the community. She's a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, who gives her energy, her time, and her pro bono services, as she is a wonderful attorney in our city, for the common good of this city of Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium, Mrs. Kathleen Newell.
At this time, I'm going to go over our house rules for both the benefit of the candidates and also the audience. All attendees must respect the moderator, presenters, timekeeper, and all candidates. Every attempt will be made to be impartial, respectful, and fair to all candidates. Any city council candidate that arrives after the program begins is welcome to take his or her seat on stage, but the meeting will continue according to the program. City council candidates will receive 2 minutes for an opening statement and 2 minutes to answer each core question. The candidates were provided these core questions in advance. After our 2 core questions are addressed, there will be an opportunity to have some of your questions addressed. When you came in tonight, you were given an index card. We invite you to suggest a question you would like to be answered by the candidates. Please write only 1 question per card and write legibly. When you are ready to submit a question, just raise your hand. The ushers will be walking up and down the aisles to pick up your cards. The candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each of the audience's questions. We don't have time tonight to pose all of your questions, but we'll do our very best. Don't forget, you'll have an opportunity to mingle with the candidates at the reception afterwards. At this time, I'm going to introduce our candidates, and sitting to my right are the 2 candidates for the District 1 action seat. We have candidate Wanda Hill. And seated next to her, we have Councilman James Tate, who is also a candidate for the district. Each of the 2 candidates present will have an opportunity to give a 2-minute opening statement, and we'll start with candidate Hill.
Good evening, and I want to say thank you for being here, and also I'd like to say thank you for Moses for allowing you all to have the opportunity to get to know Wanda Jan Hill, the candidate for Detroit City Council District 1. I'm a lifetime resident of the city of Detroit. I've been here all my life, except for 2 years I lived in Great Falls, Montana. I was raised in Detroit public school system. I graduated Northern High School. I attended Michigan colleges, received associate degree from Wayne County Community College and a bachelor's degree from Wayne State University. I have a family that I raised and been a part of for 32 years within District 1. So I do understand and know District 1 very well. Most of my adult life has been in District 1. I decided to be a council person years ago, not knowing that this journey would lead me to where I am. You know, when you're younger, you have aspirations. My aspiration was to be a council person. I worked for the city of Detroit for 30 years, and that's where I gained all of my knowledge relative to a city, a municipality, how it functions, how we should care for it, what it takes to maintain it, and how to really be a part of the city. So now my journey has taken me to this place right here now as a candidate for city council. I'm coming out of an early retirement so that I can be a part of helping to better the city, to get the city on its proper course. And I had concerns about our council leadership, and that's another reason why I decided to run for city council. I saw shortcomings, and I knew that my 30 years of experience would help get the city at a better place. Thank you.
Candidate Tate.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First, I want to thank Moses as well as the District 1 Action Now initiative, right? Committee. All right. I want to thank you all for having us here. And it is very important, as Candidate Hill indicated, that you have an opportunity to hear from the candidates. We all have real glossy, nice literature, but it's different when you get an opportunity to talk to us and see us directly, face to face. My name is James Tate. I am at the end of my first term as a Detroit City Councilman. I've lived in this district my entire life. As a matter of fact, I live on Asbury Park. That's where I grew up at, right down the street here. But lived in the city of Detroit in District 1 my entire life. I've gone to school here. My wife also grew up and was born and raised here in District 1 as well. My in-laws, my sisters, so I feel very, very attached to this district. When it came time for re-election, I knew for a fact where I belong. I didn't want to do it large because I felt very closely my roots are here in this district. Everyone that is here to run for office will tell you the same thing. We all want lights. We want crime to be reduced. We want better schools. We want the blight reduced as well. The question is, you have to ask yourself, who is the best candidate to help get those things accomplished? I believe very strongly, especially with this changing climate that we have now in the politics in this area, in this region, in this city, that it's more important now than ever to build partnerships and relationships with those, even who you don't necessarily believe and trust in. My goal is always to ensure that I can bring resources to this community. It's challenging. I've been able to do certain things that I didn't think I was able to do, and certain things I was not able to accomplish over these 4 years. But I'm very excited about the future of the city of Detroit. Not just because of this election, but I'm more excited about the possibilities as it relates to the people in this district. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Cynthia Reese, and I'm a member of Greater Southern Baptist Church. For decades, Detroit has been the nation's only major region without a rapid transit system. After rallying people to advocate in Lansing and singing on the steps of the Capitol, we were finally successful in 2012, and the Metro region now has a unified Regional Transit Authority, RTA. Its job is to create a regional transit system that will ensure that all people can get where they need to go while helping create places people want to be. My story starts with my grandson graduating from high school and being unable to get around the city of Detroit or the suburbs. He had no way to get to a job or college. I always told my children that they had all the rights and privileges as any other American. My grandson said, that's not true. He felt his government had failed him. He couldn't take a bus or a train to get to a job, school, church, or even the movies. I really wanted my children to be able to get around the Detroit and the region. That didn't happen. Then my grandchildren. That hasn't happened. Maybe my great-grandchildren, and finally back to me, now that I'm getting older and may stop driving. The RTA will coordinate and oversee current transit providers, including DDOT and SMART, offering the potential for restored and expanded transit, but only if the region comes together and supports new funding. The region puts less money into transit than any other city its size in the country. DDOT bus service has been cut in half over the past decade, and SMART has suffered too. We need to maintain and improve what little we have left.
My name is Mario Mason. I am a member of Greater Southern Baptist Church. I live in District 1 and I take the bus to get to school. I attend Oak Park High School and I have to be at school at 7:55. The bus is rarely on time and I'm often late for school. Sometimes at the bus stop on Shaker, the bus never comes. I wait for hours and then I just go back home. If I am to get a quality education, I need to make it to school and on time. Thank you.
We need a quality bus transit system, one that connects people to jobs and job training, one that saves people money on gas, insurance, and parking, one that will boost economic development and revitalize our city. We need a quality public transit system. Thank you.
The first question surrounding transit has two parts, candidates. Would you please respond either yes or no to the first part, and then as to the second part, also respond either yes or no, but you will have an opportunity to give a 1-minute explanation. Candidate Hill, if elected, will you agree to advocate for the RTA's expected proposals for new funding?
Yes, I will advocate for funding. Yes, I will advocate for funding for the Regional Transit Authority.
Thank you. Candidate Tate,
Yes, I absolutely will advocate for funding for the regional transit.
the second part of that question related to transit. Will you work with the emergency manager and mayor to maintain or expand DDOT bus service funding and find new ways to improve the service? Candidate Hill?
Now, is this a yes? It's no explanation, just yes?
Yes, and you can also give a 1-minute explanation.
Yes, I will, and I would like to say that I'd like to turn that question around a little bit. Instead of saying, will you work with the emergency manager and the mayor? I'd like to say, will we work together? Because we must remember that we are elected officials that are representing the public, and we must come to the table to work together. It's not one working for the other, but it is working together. And if we are going to put the city back on the proper course, we have to come with that type of mentality and that type of mindset. And that is, yes, I will work together with the mayor and the emergency manager to make sure that the RTA is efficient for the ridership here in the city of Detroit.
Thank you. Candidate Tate, will you work with the emergency manager and mayor to maintain or expand DDOT bus service funding and find new ways to improve the service?
Yes, I will. I will continue to work with the emergency manager and the mayor in trying to identify funding. And that is the biggest issue that we have right now, that we don't have a dedicated funding source. And that's why it's so terribly important for us to get this regional transit authority off the ground. But I also need to say that as elected officials, we're only one part of this pie, if you will. The community also has to step up and let the elected officials, not just in the city of Detroit, but outside of the city, know how we feel. The majority of the bus riders in this particular area are represented by Detroiters. Yet, on the Regional Transit Authority Board, there's 10 members. Only one of them is from Detroit. That's a challenge for us. Now, that is not the end of the story. There's information now just 3 days ago, but actually on October 3rd, the Regional Transit Authority Citizen Advisory Committee application opened up for residents to participate, and I have information, my time's up, I have information for you to participate on that for the upcoming year.
Thank you, Councilman Tate. Another candidate has joined our number here since we started, and I'm going to give him an opportunity to answer this question as well in the 2 parts. I believe it's candidate McAllister. Candidate McAllister, our first question, which concerns transit, has part 1. If elected, will you agree to advocate for the RTA's expected proposal for new funding? And if you'll simply answer yes or no to that question.
First of all, I want to give honor to God who's head of my life. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And the answer is yes.
And as to the second part of that question, Candidate McAllister, you can respond yes or no, and then you will have an opportunity to also explain. The second part of the question is, will you work with the emergency manager and mayor to maintain or expand DDOT bus service funding and find new ways to improve the service?
Yes, ma'am. That is the purpose of service, but there is also a concern as well with the alleged combining of SMART and DDOT. There's also concern that City Council has to be involved in is what happens to those 2,000 workers. Do we immerse them? Will they be immersed in the system? Or will they be put out on the streets? And I think that's a concern that we should also be considering when that happens. We have to find ways to make sure that we have the best transit system to get people where they need to be at the time they need to be. So in answering that question, all those things are involved with that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John George. I'm the Executive Director and Co-Founder of the Motor City Blightbusters. This is our 25th year of bringing folks together from the city and the suburbs. Thank you. From the city and the suburbs in an effort to not only stabilize and revitalize our city, but to create ownership, both in the neighborhoods, through our housing work, and of course in the business district, where we have created coffee shops and art galleries, jazz clubs, community centers, and urban farming. We must learn as a people to put our petty differences aside and focus in on projects and programs that eliminate neighborhood liabilities and create community assets. Tonight, thank you. It's very important that we learn to work together. It's the only way we're going to make it out of here alive. Tonight I've been asked to speak a little bit about blight and its elimination, as well as scrapping. As you know, in our community, we have many beautiful homes, and for those homes to stay beautiful, we really have to track down these scrappers and strippers that are destroying the very fabric of our neighborhood and our community. Blightbusters has been working diligently. We just recently started working with a new partner, Set Products, which is a for-profit organization that has helped Blightbusters secure a number of residential and commercial properties in an effort and an attempt to stop the scrapping and, quite frankly, the destruction of our neighborhood and communities. There are a number of different scrapping ordinances on the books, and the next question that we're going to ask the candidates is what they will do to ensure that the ordinances that are on the books are kept and strengthened. Thank you very much.
The question regarding scrapping, candidate Hill, is as follows. If elected to council, will you exercise your oversight duties within the first 2 months of the new term by holding sharp inquiries into why the 2006 metal scrapping ordinance is not reducing the illegal scrapping problem? Respond yes or no, and you have 1 minute to explain.
Yes, I will. For this ordinance, the 2000 metal scrapping ordinance, and for more ordinances that we have that deal with the environment, I will vigorously use my oversight duties and my check and balance responsibilities. I have always felt that we have laws and ordinances on the book that we are not, enforcing. I will maintain a relationship with our police department. I will push that we have a dedicated team of police officers to deal with scrapping. We need to know who's dedicated, where to go when we have these issues of non-compliance relative to the scrapping yards. That is a part of most of life that we have here in the city. is the scrapping activities. That does diminish the property taxes. It does a lot of harm to District 1 and the citywide effort in trying to get the scrapping done. So yes, I will commit wholeheartedly to the beautification of my city. Thank you.
Councilman Tate, if elected to council, will you exercise your oversight duties within the first 2 months of the new term by holding sharp inquiries into why the 2006 metal scrapping ordinance is not reducing the illegal scrapping problem? You may respond yes or no and explain.
Yes, I will, and I will continue to do that. If anyone watches the city council hearings, you see that there are sharp inquiries that take place on a regular basis. The issue is not, once again, the fact that the laws are not on the books. As been mentioned, the issue is that the enforcement is lax in many situations. We have brought down, as council members, the legislative body, directors, and also group leaders is what they were called, group executives, excuse me, to have those inquiries. The challenge is there's no teeth that provides any penalties when that enforcement does not take place. So we're going to be working with the Inspector General. When we brought him in, he said he was going to now look at identifying teeth that can be provided when those enforcement actions are not taken, are not addressed. That is our biggest challenge right now. We have laws that we're working on to remove the vehicles, forfeit the vehicles of those individuals who scrap. That will slow down the process because by the time it gets to the scrapping yard, it's too late.
Councilman McAllister.
Thank you.
As to question 2, if elected to council, will you exercise your oversight duties within the first 2 months of the new term by holding sharp inquiries into why the 2006 metal scrapping ordinance is not reducing the illegal scrapping problem? You may respond yes or no, and you have 1 minute to explain.
Yes. One of the things is, we know that people are trying to survive out there. Within 48 hours, normally a home is invaded and scrap yard. We have to go after the scrap yards themselves, because if we go after the scrap yards and hold them accountable, then if people don't have a place to turn this stuff in, then they will be deterred from going in homes. The other thing is about blight. We have a lot of illegal dumping, and a lot of that illegal dumping comes from outside the city of Detroit. One of the things that I want to do is start putting in an ordinance where if you're caught illegal dumping, your vehicle is going to be confiscated depending on how much you dump. It's going to cost you $1,000 to $10,000 to get that vehicle back. Now, what does that do? That puts money back into clean up the area that they did, also put money back in for CD patrol, money back into recreation centers, money back. We have to start looking at ways as far as generating dollars from people who are disrespecting the city of Detroit. Thank you.
At this time, we are opening the meeting up to questions from the audience. I have not received any questions yet, but I'm assuming that there are participants here in the public meeting who have questions for the ushers. Kindly give your questions to the ushers, and we will proceed with answering them as soon as we get them. I have a question here from the audience, and it's for any candidate who would like to respond to it. And the question is, what can you do as a member of City Council to eliminate blight? And I'll start with candidate Hill.
Well, as a legislative branch of government that I am running from in the city council person, my actions will be to laws and ordinances. What the main thing I'd like to do, and I believe time may permit, is to see what we have in the books, what ordinances and laws we already have in the book relative to the environment. I think that's very important. One of the other actions that I will take is to vigorously deal with enforcement. We have a lot of ordinances and laws on the books that just need to have the police department to back them up. We need to promote these laws too, but we need to go in and enhance and improve what we do have existing. And I do believe that we do have those things that exist. Environmental codes and housing codes, that needs to be reviewed too. If Detroit is going to be a brand new city, which is going to be, we need to make sure that how we handle the city of Detroit from this day forward should be more delicately, more efficiently, and more effectively. And I believe that new leadership will bring that about. We need new leadership with new ideas. Thank you.
I have another question here, and it's directed to any candidate. It asks specifically,
May I respond to that question also?
if you'd like to respond.
Thank you so
You
much.
may.
Thank you for that question. It helps me elaborate on what I just stated about eliminating blight. We also have to get our businesses, because each district has a business that's involved. And we've asked to get our business involved with the community to help clean up some of the areas that's going on. They have dollars. One of the things that Midtown and Downtown is doing is because the businesses are involved. And if we get our businesses involved, then that's going to help as far as facilitating funds, that's going to help facilitate cleanup, and that's going to help facilitate getting rid of blight in our communities. Thank you.
You may also respond, Councilman Tate.
Thank you. One of the things that I have been pushing since I've been on council are blight-related issues. One of those issues that is still sitting in the law department that is extremely frustrating to us all. We are trying to get the property maintenance ordinance changed so that whatever property you own, whether it's occupied or not occupied, that property must have window dressings or window coverings on them. Because we know that whenever someone moves out of the property, you remove those curtains, you remove those blinds, what does that mean? It becomes a target. And so we now have to look at this issue of it becoming a blighted property, and the cycle starts all over again. So it's an issue where we have to have the support, as been mentioned before, support from all branches of government, not just city council members, but we have to get the support from the executive branch to ensure that we can get these laws and ordinances that we have that are not already in the books, new stuff, on the table to allow our officers to be more effective. Thank you.
This next question,
Just one additional to what Councilman Tate stated. We also have to hold the banks accountable, because it is the banks that are allowing these properties to go under, as well as there are a number of communities outside, folks that own property. We have to hold each and every person accountable for these properties. That's also going to be real. Thank you so much. I apologize.
thank you. This next question is for any candidate, but I think it's a question that should probably be addressed by all the candidates here tonight. This question specifically asks, what can you do as a city council member to improve police response? Candidate Hill.
Well, once again, I must say that to improve the police department's response, which is a part of the executive branch of government, it depends on relationships. We cannot dictate that section of the branch of government, but we can come to the table to build relationships, to understand jointly and concertedly that this is a responsibility that we all must come to the table with. We need to be in a position to strategize on any issue that may be an impediment for the city of Detroit. Ordinance, which is something that we do, I don't know if that would be feasible, but it could be something that we can come up with. I will be working with 8 other people, and I want you all to know that we know that many heads are better than one. I am not a superwoman. We do work in conjunction, so we'll be able to sit down and discuss any impediments that the city may have relative to security and safety.
Councilman Tate?
Thank you. Yes, any candidate that tells you that they're going to increase police response time is not being truthful to you. The reality is, as council, we do not have that ability in charge to maintain the operations of the various departments. But what we can do is, as mentioned before, build the relationship with those individuals who are in charge, one of which being the main guy, the chief of police. We need to find out what we've been doing. What is it that you need from us? Legislatively, how can we assist what you do to improve what you do for your officers who work for you? What really baffled me a number of months ago, actually about a year ago, there was a proposal that came before City Council that called for cameras. It's called ShotSpotter. Over in one of the hardest hit areas on the east side, the police department came to the City Council requesting to use forfeiture dollars for these cameras to be used in these hard-hit, crime-ridden neighborhoods so that they can be identified, that individuals can be identified and used in court. It was voted down. The police department came to us. It made no sense. I voted for it, but unfortunately did not get the support from my colleagues. That's how you fight, in my opinion, on behalf of the police department.
The thing is to hire more police officers, and what has been stated is absolutely true. But the council does review and approve the budget. So therefore, when you're looking at the budget, you want to make sure that security for the citizens is adhered to. So therefore, you have to look at resources, develop with contracts. Again, when I talk about confiscating the vehicles, bringing those dollars back into patrols, because you have the patrol, police needs help out there. So if we can collectively look at the contract, see how we can find some dollars, work with the businesses so some dollars can come in. These are the things that help facilitate as far as making sure that security and safety is adhered to. Thank you.
The next question for all candidates specifically asks, what can you do as a member of City Council to improve communications with the citizens of District 1? Candidate Gill.
That's one of my main objectives, is to stay engaged with the citizens, all citizens in District 1. And I say this because we're going to need each other as the city does this transformation. We're going to need each other as we have the state here running the city. You're going to call me and you're going to ask me to turn on the light or clear the snow or make sure that your core bill is empty. And I'm going to do my best to get that done from the relationships that I've built with those city departments. But I'm also going to call on you, and I'm going to want you to answer. I may want to have a public hearing, a town hall meeting, and I may just want you, more than likely, to have my back for issues that we have to deal with relative to the emergency management experiment. And we must not forget this elephant that's in the room. So I will stay engaged. I'm a coalition builder. I love people. And all of this work that I'm doing to get your support is not in vain. I truly want to keep the relationship going with the people that I'm meeting on my campaign trail. And I promise you that I will. Thank you.
Councilman Tate.
Thank you. Yes, I will continue to work with the neighborhoods as I've been doing thus far. I've seen many faces in the room. We're very familiar with each other. Let me say we're not strangers. Right now, in my office, we attend 36 community meetings per month. Now, there's only how many days in a month? We do that. That's right, very good point. Or 29 in February. So, we attend 36 community meetings thus far. And it was imperative for us to do that. If I'm not there, someone from my staff is at that meeting every month. We don't just go in and say, I'm here representing Councilman Tate. What we go in is we bring information from the city so that we're directly a part of that community, that neighborhood. But then we also take information back. And if you don't believe me, you just ask Scott Bowman, who has an issue with the water and sewage department that we help repair. Miss Sadie Petway, we helped her as well. We also helped Mr. Frank Wood. We have results. We cannot get everything done that we want to do, but what we do is we help as many people as we can, and we're going to continue to do that in this new district system. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The question was asked to me as to at what position am I running for, and that is council at large. By charter, ladies and gentlemen, actually, candidate Hill or candidate Tate will have more power than the council at large, because you will go to one of them because they are your constituents. Now, what I plan to do is also be involved and be engaged. If you came to me and asked me, I would have to say, did you go to one of your representatives, whoever that may be, to resolve the problem, as well as assisting and involved in the problem. As a former commanding officer of the Detroit Homicide Section, I was always engaged with the people in the community, as well as the people that was going through the traumatic eras of losing a loved one. So I'm always going to be engaged, and a lot of you I've seen, I've been all over the place, and I will continue to be that type of person. Thank you so very much.
The next question from the audience asks specifically, how will you work with the emergency manager, and what do you hope to accomplish when the manager is gone? Candidate Hill.
Once again, I must turn that question around, and the question should be, how will we work together? And that's very important. We have to realize that we are number one. The people of the city of Detroit are number one. We have a visitor, that's the emergency manager. We have a visiting activity, which is emergency management experiment that is the elephant in the room. I am a coalition builder, as I mentioned before. I will work to do my job and my duties that are set forth by the city charter, or what's left of the city charter. The first thing that I'm going to do when I do become the city council is to review that exit plan that is going to be here by this emergency manager. But before I do that, I will strongly fight to make sure that I am representing the people of the city of Detroit, and that we are at the table talking about what's going on. There's no way that this guy can leave here without us knowing why we have to cross our left foot over our right leg. We have to insist, and that's what I'm going to call on you all. We have to insist that your representation is at the table before he goes, and that we see what this plan is after he leaves. So that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you.
Councilman Tate.
Yeah, the important thing is, Public Act 436, whether we like it or not, I hate it, and I voted against Public Act 4. It's the law of the land. Until the courts overturn it, we have to find a way to work with this particular individual who's the emergency manager. We as City Council, our strength is within the power that you all provide us. If you say that you want us to accomplish X, Y, Z, it is imperative that we go and move in that direction. We cannot think solely because this is the way that we feel about something, that is what's right and what's best for the community. I think that's what's been missing here. We have to identify what is in the best interest of the residents of this city and work towards that goal. If that means that we have to sit down once again with an individual who is in a position that I don't particularly care for, I have to make sure that we're at the table. And not just at the council table, but at the table when the decisions are being made. Because believe it or not, every decision right now is not being made at the council table. There's decisions that are being made outside of that, and it's imperative that we do what we can as elected officials to stay a part of the game. If we do that, then we can be effective for the people who we represent. Thank you.
Candidate McAllister.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm willing to work with anybody who's willing to move the city of Detroit forward. Detroit has always been good to everybody, but not everybody's been good to Detroit. The problem I have with Mr. Orr is the fact that he comes from a law firm that holds most of the bonds that deals with the banks. And therefore, what is your ulterior motive? Are you here to move Detroit forward, or are you here to demise Detroit? There have been $62 million that has been paid to consultants. Those dollars could be used to help move the city of Detroit forward. So my question is, being realistic, I want someone to work with me and work together as far as moving the city of Detroit forward. And that's the only issue I have. I've always been brought up, you take care of home, you always take care of home. And don't let anyone outside disrupt your home. And to me, that's what appears to be happening. But if they're willing to work to move the city of Detroit forward, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, we have another candidate that has just joined us, candidate for one of the at-large city council position, Mr. David Bullock. And Mr. Bullock, I'm going to ask you the last question that I just directed to all of the other candidates. Specifically, if elected, how would you work with the emergency manager, and what do you hope to accomplish when the manager is gone?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. This is a question from the audience, and it specifically asks, how will you work with the emergency manager, and what do you hope to accomplish when the manager is gone?
My name is David Bullock. I'm running for City Council at large in the city of Detroit. It's so good to be here. I do apologize for being late. Number of forums happening tonight, but I did not want to go home tonight without coming by Greater Burnett, a great church with J. Allen Caldwell. Made prayer time great. Appreciate him and his family and the preaching Caldwells of Detroit. Now to this question of what would I do to work with the emergency manager. I'd like to say I will give the emergency manager an opportunity to work with me. Elected by the citizens, bound by the city charter, my job is to answer to those who elected me. The emergency manager is appointed by the governor. He answers to the governor. It's two different chains of command. We will try to coordinate efforts to benefit the city of Detroit. But my primary focus will not be pleasing him, it will be pleasing you. What do I hope to accomplish? Hope to accomplish in Detroit to have a recovery that includes the entire town, not just big town and downtown.
The next question from the audience asks specifically, the city charter provides for a community advisory council in each district. How do you plan to work with District 1 to create it? Candidate Hill.
Well, for those that may not know, that Citizens Advisory Council was supposed to go into effect 90 days, I believe, after the charter was approved. So we are late, very late. That advisory council will come together from council and an ordinance. And that's where the colleagues get together, the other representatives, council representative, and we develop that. Now, I do want to say that we must be diligent and we must be very careful on how we develop that council, because if we don't do it, that emergency manager will. We also need to make sure that we're diligent and careful on how we take office come January 1, because if we don't do it, that and emergency management experiment wheel. So these are two areas that new council people or those that may get re-elected, we need to sit down and come together as a group, as a united front. We have to stay that way from the beginning and stay that way from the end if we want this council, advisory council, and our governance to be solid for the people. Thank you.
Councilman Tate, your response to the Community Advisory Council.
Thank you. It's a very important group that will assist with the Detroit City Council and your elected officials. I actually submitted a question, still again waiting a response from the law department, but I did get a response from our legislative policy division. Apparently, the issue with the CAC, is that they actually will not be able to be enforced or in place until after this election, because there's a formula that is used to work on to identify the petition numbers, that will allow for these individuals to be identified and to be in place. Now, from my understanding, there are 5 members on this committee, 3 at large that we would identify, that will be identified from the community, and then you have a senior, and then also a youth advocate. Again, by me being out in the community as much as I am, I have no problem with advertising, if you will, on who would like to be on that particular community, that committee. But we got to make sure that those individuals are just as committed to the community as I am. Thank you.
Candidate Bullock.
The Citizen Advisory Councils correspond with the District 7 Citizen Advisory Councils. As a city council person at large, I don't have one of my own. But I will work with the Citizen Advisory Councils as I work with my colleagues who represent the district.
I must agree with Candidate Bullock, and as I stated earlier, the district has more power than the at-large, so therefore it is a collaboration of working with them to make sure that we have the concerns of District 1 are met. That's the issue. And I also like to address, I did not on the last question, did not say what I would do as far as my accomplishment once the emergency manager is gone, and that is to make sure that we're never in a position where we have to deal with a consent decree, an emergency manager, or there's ever any talk again about bankruptcy for the city of Detroit.
I'd like to thank all of the candidates for answering the questions from the audience. We had so many, and I didn't have an opportunity to screen them all, but I tried to pick out the most important ones. We have one last question from the audience, which I'm going to ask now. And this question specifically asks, if you are on city council as a candidate, how would you vote on creating a regional water authority that takes the department, I'm assuming it's the Department of Water, from the city of Detroit? Candidate Hill.
Would you repeat that again?
Yes. The question is worded as follows. If you're on the city council, how would you vote on creating a regional water authority? And I guess the assumption is the regional water authority would then take the supervision of the water department outside of the city.
Now, I have to say this about Wanda Jan Hill. I try not to do what ifs, and I really try not to do what ifs when all the facts are not before me. We do know, and we've known for years, that that takeover has been, we've been faced with that takeover. I have to make that judgment when I have all the facts before me. We do have financial problems, we have huge financial problems, but we also have other assets that may be put on the table.
Yet still here, that they be charged too much. I think that it's fair that we look at voice it the best they can with us in Detroit. Once again, at this moment, with what we have in front of us, I do not believe that creating a regional water system that takes out the hands of the city of Detroit is the best interest at this point.
Thank you so much. I think it's a great question and it's profound because we're seeing the move from the city owning assets and managing them to privatization. We're also seeing pressure being on the city of Detroit to integrate with other communities, particularly around assets that generate revenue. I think it's very instructive, Councilperson Tate said, in terms of the persons outside of Detroit who thought they would be charged too much. Flint, I think, if they haven't come off, definitely threatened to come off of the Detroit system as well. And so I believe that the city of Detroit must protect its assets, not run down the road of privatization in the name of short-term and long-term misery. So I, at this stage, and typically would oppose moving towards the regional water authority that takes the ownership of the city of Detroit.
And Mr. Positional question.
Women Council Jr. You know, I agree. It's about protecting the water and protecting resources. Plus, you know, it violates, but it appears with the plan that I have as far as the water system, once I get in council. You know, I spent 3 years in Iraq, and Iraq is looking for a water treatment system. Detroit has the best water treatment system in the world. So why can't we sell our technology to them, our water products to them, but if we go to regional, we have that authority to do so. So these are the things that I'm looking at as far as, again, how do you keep that revenue, how do we generate that revenue back to the city of Detroit? Take care of them first, and then before we let somebody else take it over. Thank you very much.
That was the last question from the audience we have time for. There is one final question as part of our public meeting here tonight that I have for all candidates, and I will read that question for the benefit of all candidates and the participants in the public meeting here tonight. It is a very simple question that's to be answered either yes or no, and the question is as follows. If you are elected to office, do you agree to meet with leaders of District 1 Action now, within the first 100 days of the new term, continue to discuss the issues that District 1 cares about? And then,
I just have to ask this. What is the objective and the mission of the Action 1 initiative? Can anyone address that?
District 1 Action now.
Accountability.
It's accountable.
Well, that's part of my responsibility as a candidate is to be accountable to the public. Yes, I will meet with you on the first 100 days of my year. Thank you. And I'm out of jail.
Councilman King.
Absolutely. Anyone who's interested in this district improvement, I'll be willing.
Thank you. And vote.
Yes, I can't wait. David Bullock will not be able to meet with you if you don't vote David Bullock. I don't want to meet with you, but will you vote for me?
Candidate Allen.
Not only will I meet with you, but I also want to hear your views and opinions so that we can bring it to the council table. Because it's your concerns that we are servicing and working with you. But again, going through your district representative as well as going through you. So yes, and I have to agree with Reverend Bullock on this. If you don't go Roy Council Jr., then I can be our audience and talk to the folks that's off here. So I want you to vote on November the 5th. What Council Jr. for the City Council Life? Only 2 seats. How much asking for? Thank you so very much.
You know, meetings are nice, forums are nice, but unless you do something after the meeting, you waste your time. There are 2 things I want you to do. One, I want you to go to the polls on November 5th. Go to the polls November 5th and vote. Take a friend, your relative, your cousin, auntie. Take something with you. Second, I want you to get involved. You know, they say it takes a village. Well, now, it takes a district.
That's right.
It takes a district.
Amen.
Most will be knocking on doors to get out and vote. We need you to sign up at the reception area if you're going to help us. Second, you heard us ask candidates for a meeting within the first 100 days of their term to continue discussing the issues. So we need you to come out to the next District 1 Action Now meeting. That's going to be on Tuesday, October 22nd at 6:30. It's going to be right here at Greater Burnett. That's Tuesday, October 22nd, 6:30. Got it? Tuesday, October 22nd, 6:30. Stand up if you're going to vote. Stand up. Okay, let's see your. Now raise your right arm if you're going to get your family to vote. Okay, okay. Raise your left arm if you're going to get neighbors to vote. All right, now I want you to repeat after me. We will vote. We will vote. We will vote. We will vote. Say it like you mean it. We will vote. We will vote. Read. No, that's I will vote. I will vote. I will vote. I will vote. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. My name is Raini, and I'm a member of the Christ King Church. And at this time, I would just like to thank everyone for coming out to our meeting tonight. And hopefully you have gained some information that will help you make an informed decision when you vote next month. I'd also like to thank the Detroit Police Reserve for being here to add to our security for people attending this meeting. But I would also like to thank the Greater Burnett Baptist Church for hosting this event. As you know, to host an event like this.
Will vote. Now, I want you to make this personal.